I'm the Old Ranger with an exciting new story of real life in the Old West. The story this time comes from a little-known but critical chapter in our nation's history. Early in July of 1861, before the Battle of Bull Run, more than 1,000 men froze, then sweated, with poles and drums of shining telegraph wire, working around the clock to hang 'em high. In the troubled days following his inauguration, Lincoln was a tortured man. Unable to escape war, nothing was too small or too great to make victory swift and certain.
Mr. President.
Mr. Secretary of the Interior. The news isn't happy, Caleb. Defeats are in the making.
Then this news should help. Mr. President, with good luck, it won't be too long before the Union is linked from ocean to ocean by telegraph.
At last. Are the contracts signed?
Better than that. The work has actually begun. From the Atlantic, the telegraph wires presently run only as far west as Omaha. And from the Pacific, only from San Francisco to Sacramento. All this area, from Sacramento to Omaha, has no wires. And our only connection is the Pony Express.
But you say the work has started.
2 companies are hanging wire, Mr. President. The Overland Telegraph, working from the west to Salt Lake City. And the Pacific Telegraph is building from Omaha and will meet them there.
The subsidy the government voted, of course, goes to the first company to reach Salt Lake.
$400,000, Mr. President. Enough so that every man will work night and day to earn his share of the bonus. In the meanwhile, the Pony Express will continue to carry telegrams from the end of one wire to the end of the other, closing the gap just a little bit more every day.
Unless we are constantly certain of Utah's support and California's gold, the Union's a lost cause. The telegraph is our only protection. Caleb, in the name of mercy, for every wife and mother, both north and south, see that nothing stops it. Telegraph lines must go through.
They will, Mr. President.
If we don't get some protection soon, Captain, we'll never finish. The Indians are tearing down our wire almost as fast as we put it up.
How do you know it's Indians?
Who else?
Well, with almost a $500,000 subsidy at stake, Mike Walsh and his Pacific Company could be out to stop you.
You don't think Mike Walsh is doing
Look, in
it?
this job, I'm like a policeman. I accuse nobody, I suspect everybody. Oh, here comes that Pony Express rider for your telegrams.
Yeah. I'd better get him. These pony boys don't take to waiting.
Howdy, Captain. Hello, McCarthy. Mr. Hudson will be right out with your telegrams. Well, how are things back the other way with Mike Walsh and his outfit?
Well, told me he's doing better than 6 miles a day when I last saw him.
When you last saw him, I had an idea it was that pretty daughter of Walsh's.
Sharon is at the camp helping her father. And she does, too. Operates the telegraph like a man.
Here you are, Lauren. 26 eastbound telegrams for Walsh's wire. By the way, is Mike having any Indian trouble up his way? I mean, poles down, wires ripped out?
No? Guess he's been lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. But not lucky enough to win that subsidy. Because no matter what he does, I'm getting to Salt Lake first. Now you tell him that.
Is that all the welcome I get after riding lickety-split just to see you?
The telegrams.
Here you are. 26 of them. You know, you're as bad as your old man. All business.
If Pa doesn't win this race, Lauren, I hate to
Got
think...
all the prize money spent, huh?
Oh, he's not taking any of that for himself.
Well, superintendent.
He made that plain right from the beginning. It's all to be distributed among the men.
Well, then why is he so all-fired anxious?
He just wants the satisfaction of beating Ben Hudson. The Irish in him.
Certainly takes a big load off my mind. I was afraid if your father collected that subsidy, folks would say I was marrying you for your money.
Not on my clean wash.
Sharon...
I better get these off right away.
All right, boys, let's get it off. Take it away. Yeah! I'll get that strung out. Are you gonna take all day? We still got a mile to go before sundown.
Ellis, you got your work blocked out for tomorrow.
I'd be a fine engineer if I didn't.
Hi there!
Well, that wasn't very cordial, Ellis. You didn't wave back to him.
Why should I? Everything was going fine around here till he showed up.
Look, Ellis, the pony boy seems romantic to Sharon now. Dashing, devil may care. But once the telegraph is through, what's going to happen to McCarthy and the other riders? They're out of work. They'll drift away like tumbleweed in a windstorm. Then you'll still be here with money in your pockets to afford a wife.
Yeah, if we get to Salt Lake City first.
No ifs about it. We'll beat Ben Hudson hands down.
All right, men, thanks. Get back to work.
Mr. Hudson, up by Round Rock. 3 of your poles are down.
I know, I just heard. Chopped down.
Tomahawks?
Tomahawks, nothing. White man's axes.
What do you mean?
What do you think?
Mr. Hudson, look. I know Mike Walsh, and I know his family. Well, Mike's a fighter, but he fights clean. Oh, he wouldn't pull a low-down trick like that. It was Indians.
Then how come they don't tamper with his line? Tell me that.
Different tribes east of here.
Indians are Indians.
Maybe scared him off.
If you're talking about that business at the electric shock, I tried the same thing, only made them madder.
Then it was Indians, you admit it.
I admit nothing except my wires are coming down faster than I can put them up.
Now, the Indians think the telegraph is bad medicine. You have to show them how it'll help them. That way, they'll learn to respect it.
No, you can't reason with those red devils.
I said show them. Now, you got a line up to Shoshone territory. You arrange to have their chief get on that end, and I'll get Chief Kopar of the Paiutes in here.
It's my work. We'll do it.
Chief Red Deer is at the other end now.
You understand what Mr. Hudson is going to do, Chief Copar. He's going to prove to you that the telegraph is good, not bad medicine.
You show. We will see.
Now, you give the operator a question to ask Chief Red Deer.
You say, how many moons is it since last time Red Deer smoked pipe with Copar? Why have split tongue? Little Elk is son of my brother, but still young, has not learned yet. Indian and white man must give a little, so they can live side by side and gain much.
Chief Red Deer says, you, Chief Copar, came to War Council he held 19 moons ago.
That is truth. Wire does not speak with split tongue. I see now why a rope express good for everybody. It carry messages more miles than smoke or drums. I make promise. Paiutes not hurt wire, ever.
You wouldn't believe it. Old Copar came there to prove the wire was bad medicine, and by the time he left, you'd have thought he'd invented it. Ben Hudson can really move ahead now.
It's plain to see which side you're rooting for.
Well, I don't care who gets to Salt Lake first, just so long as the line is finished.
Well, we can still give Ben Hudson a run for his money. You got that survey for me, Ellis?
It's in the office.
He's got some nerve kissing you.
He didn't kiss me. He just patted me.
I should have punched his face in.
You're not jealous.
Yes. Stop it.
Why, Lauren.
I don't like that song.
Rose of Alabama, I think it's very pretty.
I don't. It belongs to the South.
Oh, now you're being ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Well, it's just that... Well, the way things have been going, the Rebs whaling the tar out of us. At this rate, we could lose the war.
Ellis says it's only to be expected that the South would win at first. They've been preparing so long.
Oh? What makes Mr. Ellis Higbee such an expert on the war? Maybe he should be in Washington telling Lincoln what to do.
Oh, come on now, Lauren. You can't get all in a dither every time you hear Ellis Higbee's name mentioned. I think you better get some rest before you start your run back. You'll need it.
Old Copar's living up to his word. Not a foot of wire down in the past 5 days.
I'll tell Mike Walsh.
Yeah, I'm ashamed of myself for ever having suspected Mike. I guess I just had to lash out at someone.
Sure, I know. Well, I'll be seeing you, Mr. Hudson.
Take care, Lauren.
Good going.
You mean you think my father's responsible for tearing down the overland wires?
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to. But since that's what you think, you're not only wasting my time, you're wasting your own.
The
fact that this fragment of box undoubtedly belonged to Pacific Telegraph means nothing by itself.
It was Walsh's powder.
Even so, it could have been taken without Mike's knowledge.
By whom, for instance?
You, for instance.
What?
No, not you personally, but anybody working for Pony Express who figures he might make his job last a little longer.
That was a bad guess.
Then, on the other hand, it could have been Indians. Or even Southern sympathizers.
Johnny Reb's here?
Enough to do this kind of damage.
Captain? I think I can get you proof nobody can question. One way or the other, you'll be hearing from me. Soon.
Well, Sharon, here comes your pony boy.
I don't want to see him.
Moving up again, huh, Mr. Walsh? First thing in the morning. We've strung 26 miles the last 3 days.
Well, at that rate, you're bound to beat Ben Hudson into Salt Lake.
I thought Overland was going great guns.
And they were. And now they're facing a shortage of poles, what with all that's been blown up lately.
Looks like your Indians didn't keep their promise to behave.
The poles were blown with black powder. I ain't never heard of Indians knowing how to use it, have you?
I wouldn't know. I don't go around making friends of the dirty heathens.
Has any of our powder been missing, Ellis?
Oh, couldn't be. I used the last of it blasting those boulders a few days ago.
Well, flapping our jaws isn't going to help Ben Hudson. It struck me as I was riding in here just now, Mr. Walsh. You have enough equipment left over to build clear through to San Francisco.
That's how I've kept the lead on Hudson so far.
Of course, once both lines are up, poles and wire won't be worth what they are today.
You have the gall to suggest that I sell our surplus poles to Ben Hudson?
No, sir. I was going to suggest that you lend him enough to tide him over till his next shipment arrives.
Are you out of your head? Why, for all we know, the Indians might tear down every pole we've got up. Then where would we be?
Same place Ben Hudson is, I guess. But your line in without his isn't going to help anybody. Well, certainly not the Union.
How much poles and equipment would Ben be needing?
Good train load?
Well, Mikey, you're not going to listen to him. Why, well, that'd be just like handing the opposition that $400,000.
We're helping Abe Lincoln end the war a little sooner.
Go on, Papa. We can give him half what we've got and still beat him to Salt Lake.
You're not an engineer, Sharon.
She doesn't have to be, Higby. Anyone can help win the war.
Sure. Like Sharon says, we can give Ben Hudson cards and spades and still beat him to the prize money.
And if we lose?
You can blame me. Come on now. Show me the wagons to be loaded for Ben.
Thanks for backing me up.
Well, I figure it'll take 2 days to deliver this to old Ben and get back here.
We'll be waiting.
You better be. Nellis, first thing I want you to do, take the flatbed down to the junction. Bring every bit of equipment we've got back here.
Yes, sir, just as soon as you left.
Wasting this much time, we'll have to work 18 hours a day when I get back. Now, you two watch things. All right, boys. Let her roll.
Tell Jimmy to get the rest of the wagons rolling tomorrow.
Say where he's going?
Nope, just drove off. Getting supplies, I guess.
Junction's not that way.
No, that way.
Sharon, I take back what I said about your father.
So, it's someone else?
Yes, Higby.
Higby.
He just took off from here driving like Yehu.
That's right, on an errand for Papa.
Heading west. I'm going after him, make sure nothing happens to that trainload of poles.
Oh, Lauren, you don't think for one minute...
I'm afraid Brother Higby's been the villain of the piece all along. I should have guessed it.
Why? What makes you think
Lots of little things that don't mean anything in themselves, like certain songs, that add them all up.
Are you accusing Ellis Higby of being a rebel?
All I know for sure is I'm going to follow him. And I'm going to watch him till those poles are safe in Mr. Hudson's camp.
Wait.
I haven't got time to waste. The rate he's driving, you pick up help and race around ahead of him.
I'm going with you.
They turned off here. What did I tell you? Making a loop around the wagon train.
We'll make camp the other side of the canyon. Get them across before night.
Right. Higby met some Indians here. Maybe 4. Looks like he rode off with them.
In the wagon?
Oh, looks like he did start here in the brush. Doesn't look good. You better stay here.
I will not.
I said stay here. Go ahead, Reb. Tell him. Tell him how you've been fighting the Union every mile of the way. But in spite of you, there's going to be a telegraph clear across the United States of America.
Confederate Ellis Higby was promptly tried and sentenced. And Sharon Walsh and Lauren McCarthy, they were sentenced too, to a long life filled with happiness and wonderful memories, not the least of which was a framed letter which graced the parlor of every house they ever occupied. A letter signed quite simply, "Gratefully yours, A. Lincoln." Oh, and in case you're wondering, the line from the east reached Salt Lake first by 4 days.